welcome back to the Empowered and Unstoppable podcast, the place where high achieving women come to get raw and real and reminded that they are already powerful beyond measure. So I'm your host, Megan Bunnell, life coach, speaker, and your guide to living your 10 out of 10 life that you actually enjoy and not just survive. And every week we sit down with incredible women who have built lives and businesses and impact that might look shiny on the outside, but it's really their inner work and their choices and their raw humanity that really make them truly unstoppable. And today, my friends, oh my goodness, we are diving in with someone whose story and brilliance are going to light you on fire in the best of ways. So buckle up, because today's guest is nothing short of extraordinary. Welcome to Empowered and Unstoppable, the show where high-achieving women crush self-doubt, ditch imposter syndrome, and step boldly into their greatness. I'm your host, Megan Bunnell, and together we'll unlock the mindset, strategies, and confidence you need to create unstoppable success on your terms. Let's dive in. I get to sit down today with the incredible Ushi Patel. She's a force, a designer, a brand expert, author, creative visionary, and architect of the Seeing Me method. I could go on and on, but for nearly 3 decades, she has been shaping culture-shifting brands and weaving what people call Ushi magic. I love that. That rare ability to really take something that's invisible, something that you only can feel, and bring it to life in a way that you can actually see. She is a TEDx speaker, a Benjamin Franklin award-winning poet. She's been named one of Lifestyle magazine's most influential, and just absolutely so much more. Her work has touched thousands of women around the globe, people really around the globe, not just because she helps people create the brands that stand out, but because she helps them truly feel seen. And that's the kind of transformation that doesn't just change businesses, it changes lives. And so here, I get to speak with her, and what I love so much about her personally is that she's not just brilliant in a creative mind kind of way, but she's someone that's really walked through that fire, reconciling cultures and expectations and ambition and heartbreak and resilience, and has come out glowing unapologetically herself. She embodies what it means to truly design a life that reflects your truest essence. Ushi, it is such an absolute honor to have you here on Empowered and Unstoppable.
Yes, thank you. Can I just have you follow me wherever I go and speak that this is who
Yes.
she is?
Yes, you call me, I'm there. I'll talk
right,
all
I
the good
love it.
things about you.
I
I love
love
it.
it.
All right. So before we dive into any sort of serious stuff, I always like to
Yeah.
start with something a little fun. So obviously your clients, your followers see you as this incredible force. But what is one weird or quirky or just plain human thing about you that most people don't know?
Well, there's many.
I love it. I love
That's
it.
the whole point of being a great
Love
designer
it.
and shaping a presence. But the one that's really here right now is because I'm going through it with my 4-year-old, and I don't like the dark. I like night lights. I'm super scared of the dark. I'm a very brave and courageous person, but I realized like not so much. And last night he was like, "Mom, you have to understand me that I just get a little scared because it's really annoying, super bright bunny nightlight." And then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna let him be in his fear because so am I. I'm brave and I'm totally scared of the dark, and it's awkward and weird. And yeah, I just don't like it.
You know what? It's funny that you say that, because I just had a conversation with my 8-year-old. He had to take out the trash, and the trash can was already down at the street, and it was night and it was very dark. We don't have very many street lights where we live. We're kind of up in the mountains a little bit. And I told him, he said he was scared. I was like, buddy, you're just going down the driveway. The motion light will turn on. You're going to dump it in the trash can and come back. And I said, remember, the dark is the same as the light. And he's like, it's not, Mom. It's dark and it's scary.
Yeah, yeah.
I get it. I get
Well,
it.
it's really interesting because I will say that as the Ushi designer artist does believe that, right? Like I do, that is how great art is created. You cannot have a piece without the contrast. You cannot have the shadow. It looks flat. And oftentimes that's what we have to bring up in a person's brand is a bit of the shadow so that there's depth, there's a texture to the piece, right?
I love
So
it.
it's yeah, and I remember this one night, we're gonna go right into the deep right away.
Let's go.
My dad had just passed, and I was sitting there. I at the time was pregnant with my now 4 year old, and then I had my other guy who was about one at the time, 1.5 at the time, laying here, and it was in the dark. And you know those mom moments where you're like, oh, everyone's sleeping, don't move, don't touch,
Yeah.
don't talk,
Don't
like
breathe.
just
Yeah.
let everybody fall asleep. And I had this moment where I could feel the dark as different. And it was around, okay, so like what happened to my dad? Where did he go? I don't know. Like I have, there's religious beliefs, there's things that people say, there's like spirituality, there's like the conjecture of the internet. And at the time it happened to me, I thought, I don't really actually have conviction about this. Like, where did he go? Is
Hmm.
he okay? And I just remember feeling like dark and light so starkly in that one moment because it's like I have life inside me. I'm processing death. And I have this feeling of like empty space around me, the gap where my
Yes.
dad used to be. And so, yeah, I do agree with what you're saying. I think that dark in the light, in essence, is the same thing and can reveal the same thing. And we don't have to vilify the dark. But I also feel that there is like a unique tone to it too,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And in design also I just had this conversation with such a great woman where I said, yeah, I'm doing well, but there's also the creative tension of life, and I need that creative tension to get rid of the familiar. And so yeah, it's maybe I'm not so afraid of the dark. Maybe I'm more curious about the dark, and some days I want to push it away because I want life to be a bit easier. But that weird thing in me of the fear of dark as an adult is probably the fun edge too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of unknown in the dark, and that's what makes it scary in life and in, actual being light or not light. But I love
Yeah.
that. Such a fun little peek behind the curtain. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And your 8 year old's taking out trash. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, girl, we talked about me having 4 kids. They gotta help out around here
They
because
sure do.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Too fun. Okay, so I want our listeners to get to know kind of a little bit about what makes you you, because you really have lived at the intersection of so many worlds, right? Indian and Zambian,
Zambian, yeah, but
Zambian, and
zombie, yeah, the zombies too. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, all the zombies in the dark.
Yeah,
We were just talking about the
yeah.
dark. And the South African roots and American culture and
Yes,
being a businesswoman and being a mom and the artist and the athlete and academic, like all the things. And you once described yourself as feeling fragmented, right?
yes,
With all that big intersection of all those roads, like you were constantly overthinking and over functioning and trying to prove that you were enough with all of these pieces. And take us, if you will, into that storm. What was it like to be in that space? And then what shifted that started you on this much more clear combined Ushi path?
yeah. Well, what's interesting is the storm was churning in my head, but externally everything looked really good. I had the right job, the right clothes, the right apartment in San Francisco. I had every external measure of success. The thing is that success was largely defined by all of those influences that you just said. And, I'm first generation Indian. I have great, my parents are amazing, and they resourced us, they took care of us, but they were also products of their own upbringing and where they came from. And then also trying to blend that with the America, like you said,
Yeah,
with
Erica.
and I truly mean that. It's very, it was like, it was, it's a very different identity, the American
Mhm.
identity versus I am from the United States. But I'm swirling in this. And again, I could have kept going on with my life the way it was. And I think a lot of us do. You could just get busy. You could just start a project and you can just keep piling on the achievements and the success. And it can feel good for a bit. And I won't say that it wasn't a good life. Of course, it was a great life. but you have this sense that you're made for more. You have this sense that there's got to be something more.
Mhm.
Maybe more to this time, to this, what's the whole point of having all this if you're not even enjoying it? And, really this grind. I think with kids, the grind sometimes comes from wanting to provide for them. But at that time, I didn't have a mortgage, I didn't have kids. So there was no real pressure except for the ones in my head.
Yes.
And so then I had what I love to say, the beautiful bad breakup. Was with a business partner, a set of business partners, as well as with somebody who I thought I was gonna, live the dream with, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think what sort of was like the oh moment was like, well, I have a chance to continue to do the same thing and feel this pain and find the same sort of relationship in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, or I could change. That there's only
Mm.
one common denominator here in this whole
Mhm.
swirl, and it's me, right? So how did I let myself be? And I would categorize both those relationships as sort of uneven. And again, like it was me within it, but I was 100% the giver, right? And I was
Yeah.
definitely the person like moving it along in progress and pouring myself into it and planning the vacations. And I just thought to myself, no thanks. I need a plot twist. It's time to shift. It's if I really want the things I want, and if I want to make sure those things I want are the things I really want, I need to shift. So the bad breakup, and in design, I always come back to design because it's sort of it's like how I make sense of myself. Yes, I have a profession in it, but it's the way I make sense of what's next. And in design, those breakups are actually an incredible thing because it does break up the familiar, and that sense of scattered it was also a great thing. I felt scattered because I was so good at so many things and I loved so many things. And I somehow it made me like my worlds of identity influences. I felt like I'm wrong in loving these things and wanting to pursue these things, right? Like the whole anybody who's of Indian descent knows that, this is many cultures, but in India, it's like you have like the lawyer, the doctor, the engineer option.
Mhm.
And so when I didn't want those options, I felt like I'm the freak, like what's
Yeah.
going on with me? There must be something wrong with me. And then, through my sabbatical, through redesigning myself, so to speak, I was able to weave it together to realize like actually that's the thing that sets you apart. And if you can make that the lead in all your interactions and how you're choosing what's next and the things that you're shaping for yourself, you're going to have that enjoyment that made for more is going to realize or actualize versus the same set of circumstances and the same sort of, people call it rat race or like it's the
Yeah.
same cast, different cast of characters, same play.
Yep.
And I was done with it. And so, yeah, I took a year off and it's not easy. I'm not going to say it was easy. It sounds like fun and romantic and very eat, pray, love-ish right now, but it wasn't. It was hard. You telling your parents that you just stopped is like, what?
Cut it. Yeah.
Yeah. But, over the years, I heard so many people either wished they could do that or did it in some sort of format. And I think it needs to be part of everyone's life to radically remove yourself from the context that makes you the same, right?
I love it.
Yeah. And there's ways to do it when you're, no kids, no mortgage, no company to run. Like I was in a very good space to be able to do it for a year, but I think you can even do it quarterly or monthly or find ways even daily to just like get yourself out of the familiar.
Yeah, I love that, and there's so much power in pause, whether
Hmm.
it's just a simple breath or, like you said, really a bigger pause to
Hmm.
reflect and really choose, and, to my friends listening, I want you to notice what she just said. It wasn't about achieving more on the outside, and I think so many of us are running that rat
Yeah.
race and are on that hamster wheel, and it's shiny and it's pretty, but we don't love it. It's about taking that pause long enough to think, "Who am I in that storm?" Right? That you were in, and
Hmm.
that's the moment where, just like Ushi here, that's you become an unstoppable force, right? An unstoppable woman who's not performing anymore, but who's choosing intentionally. I love that. I love that so
Yeah.
much, and the world wouldn't have you if, as you are now, if you hadn't taken that pause, so thank you
Yeah.
for
Oh,
taking it.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. It's you do it for yourself, but ultimately many people benefit. And if you are in a field that the people that you're benefiting benefit others, like there is, it sounds cliched, but that ripple effect is very real. And it's part of what you do. Like one of the things that really helped me in that year off was to acknowledge the greatness of my life and my existence and the things that I might have cast aside because they didn't fit that external picture. So as like a simple example, like art is what you do on the side. As an, in an Indian family, they're like, why would you be an artist? Like, this is like you're destined for poverty.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then you start to believe it and you start to maybe like diminish around it, right? It's subtle. It's not, I mean, for some people
Mhm.
it's a really like I'm gonna shy away. I'm gonna diminish around this. But for me, it was like these subtle things where I had real artistic talent, but I wouldn't show my pieces to people. I would never tell them about my artistic wins at college. I would like, if I would say something, I would choose to say something maybe less poetic so that people could get it, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not to say that there isn't a way to express per context, but I was, shrinking. I was shrinking that aspect
Right.
of myself because I didn't feel like it had a place. And I mean, at this point, it's been about 35,000 clarity sessions with people in a branding context, and it doesn't matter if they are a CEO in the C-suite, a founder, a professional athlete, about to graduate college student. This thing of diminishing per somebody else's judgment or opinion, and even in subtle ways, is present. We all do
Yes.
it, right?
Yes.
And I think that that's the thing to do is, okay, well, where am I doing that? And where am I deliberately choosing what is true to who I am? You know? And that's why I always think that people get a little lost when you say be who you are, because who are you amidst the shoulds and the right ways and the have tos? That's
Yes.
it's a static point. And I
Yes.
think it can be intimidating to answer that. And so that's why I really love to show people. I don't expect everyone to be a designer, but I show people the designer's approach, because if you're designing the real you, you're not fixed. Your essence is there, but you get to shift the who you are per context. You get to evolve with your story. And you also get to decide, this is mine, this is not mine, this is theirs. And, the feeling really is of peace and knowing, right? That's what really, if you say that to people, they're like, what did you just say? But it is. It's like
Hmm.
you talk so much about overthinking, and that, I wouldn't say I've reached some summit of I don't overthink, but at least I have the tools to stop myself from overthinking and move forward in a way that's undeniably me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there is that's a great word, peace and freedom that goes along with that. And it makes your filters for your choices so much
Yes.
easier because
Yes.
they're unapologetically you. You're staying true
Yeah.
to you and what you want to choose. Yeah. And as you're saying that, I realize that so many of the tools that you have used to build global brands are the same things that you use to design your own life and those of your clients, and that's incredibly powerful. And I'm guessing, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's really maybe the power behind the seeing me method. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that is and how maybe somebody could take a step today to start applying those concepts?
Yeah. So the See Me method is exactly that. It is one of the things I ask people to do is find their golden thread. It's step one. And in that year off, when I was, climbing the mountains of Marin, and the first part was really about unraveling some hurt, and then you get to this place of like, okay, what's next, right? And one of the things that you need to do in every design project is create the brief. The filmmaker creates the brief, the interior designer creates the brief. And when you spoke about Ushi magic, the reason I can make Ushi magic is my way of briefing. And so what I like, it was sort of one of those ahas. I know the spot on the mountain where I had the aha, where it was like, wait, why don't I just brief myself? Like, this is what I
That's
should
like
be
it.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the three steps. It's how I brief. I use the same three steps in the same method as I do on companies, as I do on individuals who might want to build a personal brand, as I do on people who are just like in the middle of some big transition. They might have exited a company, they might be going through a divorce, they might be graduating, they might be empty nesters, but like some sort of transitions initiating a who am I what's next? Oh, like, freak
Mhm,
out. A
mhm.
little bit of freak out, but also like a curiosity and
Yeah,
not wanting to do it the same way. So step one is find your golden thread. This is the why you, the thing that only you can offer. It's, sometimes called a value proposition, but it's like it's your essence and it's why that essence matters to the world. And you're doing it using a book of me, and it's like a personal inventory of all your track record, your accomplishments, your lived experience, how you've influenced people. And it's really there to start making self-acknowledgement a default setting.
I love
This,
it.
yeah, the second step is it's make space for the emergent. So that's the poetic side of it. But what it really is it's creating something called a seeing me board. And so it operates a lot like a mood board at the front end, but it's a picture, it's a visual metaphor of who you are.
Okay.
A vision board might be what you want, but
Yeah.
a seeing me board is really like who am I in a cocktail? Who am I at a conference? And starting to piece yourself together visually and really, again, move away from the familiar, move away from your personal preference. And that's what I mean by emergent is, and make
Mhm.
space for something different to show itself to you. And it always does. And we can talk deeper about like the, the incredible things that people get in a see me board. And then finally use the clarity from step 1 and 2, and then you actually shape your presence. You start to consider how am I dressing when I'm on a podcast? What do I look like on a panel? How am I decorating my house or my office to welcome guests? Because all of that comes together to form your identity and really as a natural magnet to the right people and the right opportunities.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I think what I love too is really not needing permission to redesign yourself, right? To really find that person that you truly are, that you've been maybe covering up because of judgment, because of expectation, but just giving yourself permission to design who that is and really find out who that is. Because everybody's a project worth investing in, right?
Oh, I
And
love that. Yeah.
we
I
all
do
are. And
believe that. Yeah.
I think that we all spend so much time investing in other projects
Yeah.
and forget to invest in our own project. And so I love
Yeah.
how clear, I mean, I'm sure that you help them so much through that process of pulling all of that out and really learning what that is. And again, the end result I'm sure is peace and that freedom and knowing who they are and inviting those opportunities. You had mentioned we could talk deeper about it. Can you give us an example of maybe one of the best results or shocking results from the seeing me method? I mean, I don't know if you're allowed to talk about it. Can you give us one?
Well, I can give you a flavor.
Mhm.
It's a deeply personal process, which is interesting because like I do people say that to me like, well, you just saw me. And I'm like, I don't, did I? Like I did. And really it feels a lot like questions
Mhm.
and asking the right questions and letting people emote and express and then seeing the through line. But in the Seeing Me board in particular, I had this one person, she came, marketing executive. I emphasize marketing because I do work with people who have like, there's a thing around marketing executives,
Yes.
right? Like there is
Yes.
a typecast, there is a how you should be, how you should show up to get the next job. So she's this incredible marketer. She does have some visual background and we're going through her board and we like who are you? I said, what do you like to do? She's like, I love drinking wine. So I said, great. Who are you in a wine label? So we start putting those things up there and beautiful wine labels. And then I said, she's like, oh, it just reminds me of this like dream of being an author. I said, great. Who are you in a book cover? So we're putting like, who are you in a cocktail? Like we just in a chair, in a lounge, blah, blah, blah. So we
All the
do the
things.
whole thing. Right. And all of a sudden I was like, are aware of how many phoenixes are on your board right now? And usually this is the moment when people start to cry and I'm like, why? Well, I just said Phoenix, you know?
That's all I said. That's all I said.
Yeah. And she just quietly said, I'm having a lot of Phoenix moments right now. And I said, great, we'll just leave it at that. And then 2 days later, she texted me. She was taking some time. She's had her glass of wine that she had. She was sitting on the porch, sent me a picture, and she read this book. And in the book, the woman described a phoenix as not the person who rises from the ash, but the woman who stands stable while everyone is trying to rise from the ash. And you
I
see
got
how
chills.
that, yeah, me too, because it informs who she is. And I think that's where the tears were, is like she knew it was Phoenix, but it didn't quite feel right in the conventional sense. And so then, okay, great. She had this moment. Also, what a cool definition of Phoenix, like the one who,
Mhm.
instead of, because the rise from the ash can imply that you were ash, right?
Yeah, you burned.
You
Yeah.
burned. So I thought, wow, what a beautiful distinction around the metaphor, the visual metaphor of Phoenix that we like literally got from like the 5 wine labels that she picked aesthetically. Again, instinctively, intuitively, she picked them. That's what emergent is, right? Because she could have gone in there and told me who she was visually. I like blue and I like that,
Yeah.
and then about 2 months later, she called and she's like, I left my job. I got another VP position. I'm happier than I've ever been. And she didn't do anything with it, formalize it into a brand or anything. It was just that she owned that piece of her that could be the stable presence while others rose. And that's what happens, right?
I love it.
So I want to emphasize that, like, I think you don't need to necessarily build a brand, although I will say everyone should have a brand. I think it's an amazing asset. It's just the knowing and the awareness of it. And a lot of times I tell people to, I mean, all the time, print your seeing me board out, let the visuals keep informing you, walk around the house, come back, what doesn't feel right, pull in some other images. And it's a really powerful, most people don't do it way to get in touch with yourself.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. Well, I'm in. Let's do it.
I love it. Well, we should do one. Yeah, everyone should experience a seeing me board. I think, again, I think people get nervous because I'm like, Ushi, I'm not visually fluent. And in fact, I've been told my whole life I'm not visual,
Yeah.
right? But I do think people are visual. I do think it's one of our sort of unseen senses. And I think that everyone has that intuitive sense of what
Yes.
moves them, right? And if you start, like, let's say with her, if I got to step 3, I would have said, like, what about a piece of jewelry that was the phoenix? And then it would remind you. And then all of a sudden people will be like, what's that phoenix? And it opens the door for conversation. So that's what I mean by taking it to the next level, where it's actually shaping your future and who you're drawing in through the visual application.
I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can see the power in that and your Ushi magic all up in there. All up in there.
Yeah, yeah. The Ushi magic comes from that See Me board for sure. You had asked also, like, what could people do today? So there's another one that's pretty powerful, which is part of what I did on that time off was I had, you clean your closet. So
Mhm.
I, very, very organically had put out on my table all these pictures from over the years up into that point. And they were Ushi as an athlete, Ushi as the Indian daughter and granddaughter, Ushi as the poet. And at that point I hadn't gotten married yet. My husband's as white as they come. And so I'm in an interracial marriage and intercultural family and raising intercultural kids. So now I added that. And it really will help you to, number one, see the identities that you are reconciling every day real quick. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's you owning your life. So just lay them out. You could do it on a digital collage and just start to, you at work, you at a conference, and just start to look and feel what doesn't feel right, what doesn't feel like it has been defined per what you want, what looks like it's somebody else's. There's millions of identities that we embrace and take on that aren't our own. Like, I'm Dutch, I'm Christian, I'm a executive, and it's like they're so shallow, those definitions, and they mean so much and they're so nuanced to who you are. So take a look at that. Take a look at what people said to you in terms of those. So for example, Ushi the athlete always heard, like, too boyish, too short, too tall, too aggressive. And I started shaping myself based on what people told me about who I was as an athlete, right?
Interesting.
So if you're hearing this and you're like, okay, well, what is my first step? I would do that. Like, see what is truly influencing how you show up and what's influencing the choices you're making or the overthinking that's happening. Who is that voice in your head that's overthinking? A lot of times it's our moms and our dads,
Oh my gosh, right?
right?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And no, it's not because they're bad people. It's just because they were just running the same sense from their own parents, and
Yep.
unless you break that cycle, right? Don't you ever feel like that? I'm like, oh my God, I just said the same thing to my kid that
Yes.
like, don't do
That was
that.
my mom just coming out right
Yeah.
there, right
Yes.
there.
Yes. Yeah. So just, it's like the collage of you, it's the identity influences or inhibitors. Understanding who said what and what that made you decide about yourself is such a great start to the process. And then of course you can, the book is there, the Dare to Design the Real You and all that. You can go ahead and pick that up and understand more. But that one, it's a big wake up call when you start to see the images of
Yeah,
you. Yeah. And your eyes will take it in differently. That's the thing. I could talk to you about it, but if you visually
right.
acknowledge it in your brain, it's landing in a very different way than if somebody tells you, let's say in
Yeah.
a coaching session, that that's what's happening.
You're listening to another episode of Empowered and Unstoppable. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. Are you ready to take your success to the next level? Visit www.meganbunnellcoaching.com. Yes, and what an easy and powerful, and I would think kind of fun first step to take.
It's fun. You know what? Have a party around it. It's so fun. Even the
Yeah.
Seeing Me board is really fun. But if this first step, get your girlfriends, your partners, whatever, whoever you trust around you and you all do it together, yeah, tell the story of you. It's also beautiful because you start to have gratitude and appreciation for your existence,
Yeah.
and that right there is the energy of the entire method. It's self-acknowledgement, right? It's
Yes.
self-appreciation. You'll find things of like, oh, that was a hard time, but I overcame something cool. Like you start to get in touch with you. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you for that.
Of
Thank
course.
you.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, love it. So speaking of success, because I think that we do have so many achievements. A lot of those are, we're pushing to those because of judgments from other people. But I think that there are deeper lessons within a lot of success, and you being an amazing example of that because you've had awards and visibility and money and impact and all the things. But you have said that the lessons that really matter the most to you are things like success being yours to define and relationships being the only growth strategy, and that you will always be enough, that there's always enough out there. And those aren't really just business lessons. And I'm sure that you tie those in, to what you do in your business, but they're life lessons, really. Do you think you could unpack one of those lessons that you've learned from your outside success in a way that anybody listening today could really apply to their life?
Yeah, it's only because it's so relevant. And sometimes I'm like, why is this still a question? But this idea that visibility is around a bunch of social media posting and a bunch of followership and and limelight and this
Mm,
relationships are your only growth strategy. I've had my business for 3 decades, and I think I don't often credit what that means, right? Most businesses are failing in the first year, and then I
mhm.
think 99% of them in the second year, are in the last 1% fail. And I think to myself, like, well, that has always been the through line of my success is the people that I know and the people that I've cultivated. And I mean, basically, I haven't really marketed until this year. So I will post a bit, but mostly my business comes from referrals. All of it comes from referrals. And I think, and all my opportunities, and somebody connected the dot, you would really be great with Ushi. Or so I think, cultivate a relationship to cultivate a relationship, but I think that that's where people miss the mark, right? That in all the tactics that are out there for marketing, I'm not saying don't do them. I'm not saying that they don't have a place, but the steady sense of success is if you have an instinct to have coffee with somebody, do it, right? If you just had an incredible meeting, send a handwritten thank you note. These things, in addition to coming through on the things that you say you will as a company or a person, but
Of
your
course. Yep.
listeners, I mean, I feel like a highly effective person knows that part already. But I wouldn't feel nervous about not posting all the time in social media. I wouldn't feel like I'm beating myself up on a Friday night after an incredible week. I do it sometimes, and then I think to myself, what? Like, go make it easier for people to refer you. There's the strategy. So
Yeah.
that's what I meant by that. And even if you are in social media, have a real relationship with the person that you're, I mean, those are people, right? Some of them are
Mhm.
robots.
Of
and
course, of course.
zombies. Yeah, sometimes there's robots and zombies out there, but for the most part, yeah, it's really who you're cultivating, and that goes for your team. And the more you cultivate them, the faster your company will grow. So relationships are the only growth strategies.
I love that.
Definitely tether yourself to that one. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you've even said that so many people have walked away from your sessions saying things like, "Thank you, I feel so seen." You can go look at your reviews and they're just raving, right? They'll say people say that I'm glowing, right? I think that
Yeah.
I read that somewhere. And that's, I think, all part of that relationship too, right? The referral piece that you're talking about. Why do you think, so many of them talked about being seen and feeling empowered by that. Why do you think that being truly seen is so empowering for women? And what do we do in our just general lives to start letting ourselves be seen more? I mean, is it going back to that "seeing me bored" and then really embodying that? Like, what do you think it is so that we can be empowered by that sense of feeling seen?
I always say that see before you're seen. And at the same time, it feels really good to be seen as a catalyst for that. So at first I was like, no, I'm not seeing you. You see yourself. You know what I mean? Like I was like, you see yourself and here's exercises to do that. But then I thought, no, it feels good to also be seen. I think what they mean by that, I still, I ask them and they keep saying the same thing. Like, no, I don't know. I just feel seen.
Feel seen. I'm empowered.
So I haven't really quite decoded it, but what I feel that they're saying is that, look, Ushi, I wake up every day and I am living some sort of version of my life that's mostly other people's. So, or I'm compartmentalizing. So the people at work know me as the people at work. The people who are in my house know me as a certain way. My friends know me as a certain way. Nobody knows me wholly as I am. And in
Mm,
that first session with people, like I'm asking questions, and I think that it's that curiosity that I give them, and that I don't really I'm a neutral party. So I'm not asking them to be anything but the person who's wanting to do the seeing me method, right? And I think that's what they mean is like in my questions, I give them space to talk and be. And I think, that's where I mean, like, okay, great, you can do it for yourself. You can learn the tools. But sometimes it's also just nice to have a conversation where somebody goes, I see where you were coming from.
yeah.
Right. I see why you think that. And the I've, there is science that certain people like to, I hear what you're saying versus I see what you're saying. But when a person doesn't feel seen, when you say exactly those words, like, I see what you're saying, I see how that could have happened, there is a visible dropping and breath in their body. And it's almost like, again, I read it as like a relief that,
Yeah.
I don't have to perform. I don't have to be something I think I need to be to have what I want. Um, Leaders, lots of leaders have that, right? They have to be a certain thing in front of the people that they're leading. And it's kind of in their own heads. Like they don't really have to be that. It's just something that we've bought into. So I think that's what's happening in those moments. And so, of course, I would love to talk to every single person and be able to see them. That's why we do the Seeing Me board and the Book of Me. And these are the tools that if you don't have a chance to be with Ushi or somebody who can have that sight, that yeah, you train your own eyes to see yourself
Mhm.
differently and see yourself clearly. Because this is my thing about that's what I really think identity is how you see yourself. Because if you see yourself as meaningful and significant and courageous and beautiful, then it influences naturally how you show up. You stand taller, you speak with conviction.
Yeah.
And then, of course, naturally the opportunities come and the yeses come. And then that cycle is positive. You have more confidence. And then you're like, okay,
Yep.
I can do this. And you do it again. But if you see yourself as insignificant or you see yourself as plain and you see yourself as common, then you shrink a little or you
Yep.
quiet down a little. And then the opportunities go away and the no's start coming. And then you're like, you start questioning, the self-doubt comes, low confidence, and this otherwise highly effective, incredible, brilliant person who on paper looks awesome, all of a sudden is rendering scattered and nervous and
Yeah.
hesitating. And so So that's why you do things like the Book of Me and the See Me board. I haven't by no means arrived, and neither have my clients. We just
Yeah.
have the tools that we know, okay, here it comes. And then these tactile examples of our identity and how we see ourselves become like a North Star, so that, when you have a weird interaction, or when somebody doesn't see you, when you're about to go and be on a keynote and the person before you was like incredible, those things are very real.
Yeah.
And I have to use the tools to come back. I have parts of my Book of Me on my phone, so I can like breathe and be like, you're
Love
doing
it.
this. Right. So that's what you do today, right? You have to see yourself first, and then people will start seeing. And it doesn't have to be a massive 1 week retreat of seeing yourself. If you just start to do a bit of self-acknowledgement here and there, self-appreciation, you'll see that people can't help but also see you in your presence.
Yeah, I agree. And I
Yeah.
think I really feel like you cannot be empowered and behave in such a way as, as an empowered woman if you feel invisible. And yet
Yeah.
sometimes we feel like that visibility has to come from other people. But
Mm,
really, the one that matters the most, the only person that you really need to see you is you first and foremost.
yeah.
And so giving yourself permission for that visibility to be enough and that confidence to allow you to go out so that you can be seen. So there's a lot of power in that, I think. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I think sometimes with high achieving people, one of the ones is like, I am seen as too ambitious.
Mhm.
And that's what I mean by seeing yourself, is that, well, probably I lay a bet anyone who thinks they're too ambitious is linked to really wanting to make a difference and really wanting to do the most with this great life in town,
Yeah.
or wanting to take care of their kids. There's so much beauty around the too ambitious. So those are the small switches to make with oneself, right? I would love for
Yes.
all of us to look in the mirror and love ourselves. Let me just say that's not happening over here. Like I'm like, oh yeah, I love myself. Oh, like where did that thing come from? I like it's just, I'd love for us to be able to, like, I all these affirmations never worked for me in front of the mirror. What worked for me was to see, like, oh, that's your intention. That was what you were thinking. And the goodness behind my intentions and what I was thinking. And if it didn't turn out as it should have, it's okay, and flipping that too ambitious on the head. Like, yeah, I am, because I have something that can help people. So of course I'm going to be ambitious, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
If you could go back to you before the beautiful breakups, as you are now, and tell her something that you think she needed to hear, to know, to feel, what would you tell her? Now that you've been through all of this and you took that time, your success now is internal and external. You have the tools to maintain that and to continue to rise. What would you tell her back then?
Yeah. You can count on the things that you know and feel. Yeah. I knew those relationships weren't good for me. I knew in hindsight, yes, they're good because of the journey, but I also could have saved myself a lot of heartache if I listened to myself. So it's okay to listen to you, and you're on the right track. And what you know, you know. Yeah.
I love it.
Mm. Yeah.
I love it.
And
That's a great. Go ahead. Go.
it was just an amazing question, because I just felt so much compassion for her when you asked me that. And I, I felt like I felt so wrong in that moment, right? I felt like
Mhm.
a complete failure. And when you said that, I was like, no, I love that girl, and she did good. And I really feel that in my toes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I work with clients on that idea of your past person and your current person and your future person really being all you, but they're kind of three separate entities. And they a lot of times clients get to that same feeling that you just had. What brought you shame, the feeling of failure, regret before, when you look at it that way, you have gratitude and
Yes.
empathy and love, and you wouldn't change a thing, right? I mean, in the moment, now that you know what you know, you might have done things differently if you could go back to it, and
Yeah.
yet you don't want to, because
Yeah.
that girl was awesome and she did good, right? And
She
got
did
you to where
good.
you are now, and
Yeah.
gave you the opportunity to learn the lessons that you learned, to continue to grow. And Yeah, I think that's beautiful. I love that girl.
Yeah, I love that girl. Also, it makes me so relatable because that's the thing when I'm done with a talk or a workshop that if I talk about the beautiful bad breakup, like I'm like, can you just have memorized my method? But no, they're like, oh my God, I had one too, and I'm rethinking my breakup. And it's the thing that people want to hear. You're all right, and you're
Mhm,
not wrong in what's
mhm.
happening, just because and that's the thing about our high achieving external success. Like, I thought it was going to save me from feeling bad or save me from sadness or life. And it doesn't,
No.
again, it's great to, if you're not there to enjoy it, but like we do this thing where like we rob ourselves of health and peace and all these things so it looks good on the outside. But the thing that we really want is to say, you did good, girl, and so it doesn't have to be far away again. I just really feel like I have taken my fair share of programs and strategy sessions and down the barrel of YouTube teachers and all that kind of stuff. And
All the things.
yeah, and trying to figure this thing out. And I think that it doesn't have to be complicated is
Yeah.
really, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
and I love what you said earlier about I haven't arrived and my clients haven't arrived. And I
Mm-mm.
think so often we get into our own heads like when I and then insert whatever, when I get that
Yes,
job, when I have that money, when I can do this, then
yes,
I'm going to be happy. Then I'm going to have my things. Then I'm going to, whatever it happens to be for each individual person. But the truth is, there's no end point. There's
no,
no point in your life where you're going to have an award, a salary, a house, a husband, a whatever, and it stops,
yeah.
right? Like
Well,
it
you
is
don't want it to. You would be
no.
so bored. This is the thing. It's like, I remember people would say, and this is my husband says this to me all the time. I would be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to sit on the beach and I'm going to have a margarita and I'll have made it. And he is like, if somebody let you have enough time to be on a beach having a margarita, you would start another company. And I was
Mhm.
like, this is a good point.
Solid,
This is a
solid
good
point.
point. I'm always going to be creating.
Yes.
It's not to say I might do it differently. Maybe I'll be more relaxed and maybe, I'll be able to pay the team to do everything, like
Yeah,
maybe it's that. But no, and I think this is the thing we think this security and the stability and the self-love is in the sameness and the non-changing, but actually that stuff is in the willingness to change,
yeah,
and it's the stability and security is in the change. That's where
yeah,
it comes from. The sameness, like this is what when people ask me who I work with, I always say gifted and effective but stuck. You've got all the right reasons. You know you're made for more, to do the more, but you just feel stuck. And that's where I was, right? Like, again, I
mhm,
wouldn't have unstuck myself without those breakups, but I did. I feel like, life also has a way of unsticking you. If it's not the breakup,
does.
it would have been something else, but
Mhm, yeah,
something that shakes it up and shakes the stuckness up. And I don't think you need to necessarily wait for those to shake it up. If you can get proficiency in shaking it up for yourself or
yeah,
unsticking yourself, I would say this is a process that can do that for people.
yeah, and, I work with a lot of those same kind of people, shiny on the outside, doesn't feel right on the inside, right? Not
Yeah.
loving it, surviving, and so many of them come to me and they use the word broken. I
Mm,
feel broken. I should be happy. I have a great life. I should love it, right? I'm broken and
yeah.
I'm shoulding myself, right? And
Yeah.
I think, what you said about I haven't arrived yet, but now I have the tools. That's what I really try to impress upon them is you're not broken because you asked for help. And you're not broken because you're not sure where to go. In fact, you're quite the opposite because you recognize that something didn't feel right, you didn't have the tools, the
Yes.
know-how, didn't know where to start, and you raised your hand.
Yeah.
That is the total opposite of broken. And,
Yeah.
you know, in your experience with, whether it's been books that you've read or coaches that you've had or mentors that you had or whatnot, where would you rate the importance of really reaching your highest potential, your unapologetically, yourself? Where would you rate the importance of finding those outside tools, whether it's coaches, friends, mentors, whatever, in helping you get there?
Um, Like, what's my scale? 1 to 10? No, I'm just teasing you.
Yeah, like, point
A
5 to
thousand,
13 and a
a
half.
thousand. No, I'm teasing you. I was gonna say it's everything. I think that I am who I am today because of all those people. You do need people around you to put the mirror up, right? And
Yes.
you also need people sometimes to just tough love and tell you what to do. And you also need frameworks, and you
Mhm.
also need people who've been in your shoes who also have crossed the bridge, right? I think I think everyone should have a coach. I think if you look at, I love basket, I love pro sports. It's another random thing about me.
Love it.
And yes, and if you look at Steph Curry, who I love, he has a million coaches around him, and he's at the top of his game, and he has one for this, one for that, one for this, right? And I think coaching gets a bad rap because there's a lot of bad ones out there. And I think that I think sometimes people just want an answer. They don't want somebody to kind of
Yeah.
help them find it. So I tend to be in the more coach slash consultant realm, liking that, where somebody can do both for me, like show me I have
Mhm.
the answer, but also be like, in this situation, I think, legally you should do this, right?
Yeah.
Um, but everyone who is excelling and achieving in this world has a squad around them, right? I mean, even very something as practical as your headshot. I recently did this post and people really like they were like kind of a thank you because I was like, look, this is what I look like in my house on a podcast, right? These are my pictures. There are probably 10 people who went into making these pictures look incredible because they love to do that. But there's the hair and makeup, there's the lighting, there's the great photographer. So, one, don't judge yourself against people who have, or compare yourself with people who have the team. Go get yourself the team, right?
Yeah.
Because when you surround yourself with awesome, I have another one. She's 20. She's like a young. She's in her 20s. I feel like she's the me version of me in my 20s, like so with it, so great. And she's completely responsible for the huge trajectory my business is taking, right? So the answer is yes, 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 1,000%. It's I think it's the thing to focus on, really.
Yeah, I agree, and it doesn't make you broken, but we're not meant to do it alone, for
Yeah,
sure.
I think that's the big myth that broken, you're having these feelings because something's not right with you. If we were to leave anybody with something today, is it's actually there's something right with you. Like, what's the opposite of broken? Whole, it's working. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
I would say if you are questioning something, if you are in a session with you, or a workshop with you, you're actually the one that's not broken.
right.
The one that's broken never bothers to shift, right?
Yeah,
The one that's broken has outward success, doesn't feel right on the inside and dies like that. Like, let's,
yeah.
to be very um straightforward about it, right?
Yeah, and yeah, and
Yeah.
I love that because that's, heartbreaking to hear, like, "I'm broken." No. No, no, you're absolutely not.
Yeah,
I
I
love
mean,
it.
that was my biggest health turnaround, was to realize I have a wonderful doctor who was like, that was the first thing she said to me. She's like, your body isn't broken. It's designed to work. Now you just have to
Boom.
do, now you have to do the thing you need to do to help it work. But don't don't come broken because then we'll just forever have to fix ourselves.
Yeah,
Right?
that's, like, the most amazing generalized quote, "Do the thing you have to do to fix it." That's
Yeah,
it. Be a
that's
friend of
it.
change and be willing to make those choices. Absolutely.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with you for
Nope.
having to do the thing to fix it. Like,
Nope.
it doesn't mean that you're lesser. I will tell you that that's such a big deal. Like, if there's anyone listening who's just starting out in their business, well, when I learned that, I would wallow in self-pity over the mistakes I made. And it was like, okay. And I remember this one woman oh, she was so great. I had coffee with her, and I was like, well, what do you do if people say no to you? She's like, I move on to the next. And I was like, what? She's like, there's always another client. I just move on to the next. They're not ready for my work. She was so matter of fact. And it stood with me. I was like, yeah, why am I dwelling on the no? Like, whatever, just on to the next.
Yeah,
Right.
who's
And
next?
on to the next. And, yeah, there's like, it's a good thing. It's a good thing if somebody says no. It's a good thing if if you see something that needs to be fixed. It means you're aware, and it means
Yes.
that your hands are in the clay, and, yeah.
Yes. I
Yeah.
love that. I love it. Okay, so I have a signature closing question that you are going to
Mm-mm.
have to modify
Okay.
because you said that the whole, sticky note mantras in the mirror, like saying that affirmations don't work. So are you
Yeah,
ready for this question?
sure.
I always ask if every woman listening here could somehow magically end up with a sticky note from you on their mirror in the morning, what would it say? But that doesn't work for you. So if you could give the gift of something similar to every woman listening, what would that be?
Um, well, there is a sticky note on my mirror after saying all that, and I guess it does work because I look at it every day, and uh,
Perfect.
there will always be enough.
There will always be enough.
Train your body and your mind and your business to just always vibrate there. There will
There
always
will
be enough.
always be enough.
Yeah.
Very,
Mm,
very powerful.
yeah.
I love that. I love it. Okay. Well, this has been absolutely incredible. For
Yeah.
the women listening out there who want more of your Ushi magic like I do, where's the best place for them to go? Where do they start?
Yeah, you can go to my website, ushi-inc.com, and get the book. It's Dare to
Perfect.
Design the Real You. It goes behind the scenes in the method. It gives you some, insight into the exercises. It shows you what your next steps might be after you read the book. Get a flavor for who I am, and also really read the stories of what happens to people when they do it. Because I find that that's in and of itself, knowing the possibility exists is really uplifting. And then come say hi to me on LinkedIn, Ushi Patel.
Perfect.
USHI Patel. Ushi like
Perfect.
sushi. I always say that to people. Ushi like
I
sushi.
love it.
Yeah.
I love sushi, so I'm
Yeah.
in. I'm in. Perfect. I will put all of that and the links down in the show notes. So if you also want to get more of Ushi, then please don't hesitate to go find her book. It's amazing, an amazing read. It's a good start to your transformation and it's going to absolutely change your life. So thank you for that. And I just have to say to you, Ushi, that this conversation has been pure gold. It's been amazing. Your wisdom, your heart, your story. It's the kind of inspiration and wisdom that doesn't just make us nod along, right? It really makes us stop and ask ourselves, what life am I designing? And
Mm.
am I being unapologetically me? Am I being true? Who am I, right? Am I brave enough to make me real and in life? So I love that you didn't just talk about empowerment, but you really embody it and you've lived the tension and the fragmentation and the pressure, and that you've turned all of that into something breathtaking and not just for yourself, but for every person that you work with. And that's a rare gift, I think. And I'm just honored that our listeners got to experience just a little tiny bit of your magic today.
Oh, thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you.
You're so very welcome. So, to
Yeah.
all of you listening, go get her book, go visit her, give her a nod on LinkedIn for sure. Follow her work, just soak it up. It will absolutely be life changing for you because I promise that you're not just going to learn from her. You'll really feel seen by her and, most importantly, by yourself. And that is an amazing first step. So, thank you for showing up so generously, for sharing everything so honestly, and reminding us that we all are, in fact, worthy of being designed and defined and fully living. And to my listeners, thank you for joining us today. I hope that you really did soak in all of this Ushi magic. And if you know somebody, a family member or a friend or a coworker that you think this message would really resonate with, please share. And of course, like and follow, subscribe so that we can continue to get these messages out to all of the women who are ready to be empowered and absolutely unstoppable. So join us next week for another incredible conversation. And until then, stay creative and stay bold and be empowered and unstoppable by your incredible force. I'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in to Empowered and Unstoppable. If today's episode spoke to you, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who needs a boost of empowerment. Are you ready to take your success to the next level? Visit www.meganbunnellcoaching.com. Remember, you're not just capable, you're unstoppable. See you next time.